First of all, thank you for being here at this hour. So I appreciate that I'm not standing in front of empty rows. So thanks for being here and thanks for everyone who's in the stream. I'm really grateful that I can hold the seminar. And my name is Kudrix. I'm in the scene since 2015. I mainly release seminars. So I'm giving you an insight into a specific topic today. This is originating from my day job. I work in IT security and digital identity and trust. And this is why I'm covering topics that are sometimes crossover between the scene and my day job. And so welcome back to seminars. And what is it that we want to do today? I think I'm not taking the full hour for talking, so I would like this to be kind of interactive. So we want to dive in and discuss. And if you have questions, feel free. If they're very urgent, then interject and ask. But otherwise, we can have lots of discussion in the end. So where are we coming from? So actually, I think you all are in the demo scene. You appreciate what I call the scene's honor code. So you know that original content rules. It's attributed to its creators. And if you take something from someone else, you properly quote. And the credit goes to everyone who's involved. And if you are very modern in the scene, you also disclose your toolchain and sometimes even your source code. So you're very contributing to the scene and giving back. Unfortunately, in the rest of the world, in our hyperconnected state that we are getting into, it's now full of forged content. It's often now artificially created deepfake videos and audio and imagery and everything. And fact is very hard to distinguish from fiction. So it has never been harder to understand what is real and what not. And true origins and the creator attribution are often very unclear. So I want to make this a discussion where we can see if there is a way out. So are you ready? Yes, thank you. Great. So the topic is my favorite deepfake and content authenticity in the age of zero trust. And we're starting with part 1 of 3. Trust is a human thing. So whoever thought about what is it that builds trust? It's because people get in interaction, they get to know each other, they learn that the other is responding to inputs and questions and are reliable in their actions, at least to some degree. And this is coming because we interact directly, and this is what it has been most of the time of mankind. So trust is at society's core. So we wouldn't be calling it society if there wasn't trust between us. So this is by people getting together, talking, interacting. So all of you are very aware that we have arrived in a digital world. So in the beginning of the home computer revolution, there was a very great seminar by Swally the other day, that it basically digital ubiquity came into life of everyone in the 70s or 80s of last century. And this has, in the first, been a very disconnected thing. So you know that the machines were not connected, and like online wasn't really a thing, so there wasn't a problem in trust. Because you knew what your machine does, and if you want to talk to someone about the machine, it's usually you're in the same room. So, however, everything has accelerated since then, and we have now something what we call digital culture. So actually making a quick reference to the demo scene, UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage, you know that we have a digital culture that is even recognized by some kind of official body. And we live in a digital world, and we often don't really question what's going on. We have digital ubiquity, but do we have something that qualifies as digital trust? I think there is no such thing as digital trust, because Trust is a human thing. So, however, what can we do to make our online interactions trustworthy? And this is one of the key questions I want to dive into today. So, arriving at where we are today, the paradigm of zero trust is taking dominance. So, if you are in IT security, everyone is talking about zero trust. What does that mean? It means you don't trust anything, you verify all the time. So if you're accessing a site, you're authenticating with whatever means. However, you regularly re-authenticate, and if you arrive at a different system, you may need to authenticate again. And this is because now everyone wants that there is no perimeter where you log into once, because you need to authenticate against the asset which you're accessing. So that's zero trust. So we can't trust anything anymore. And how that really feels is very understandable. We have now the most convincing means of betraying our online trust with something that was not possible a couple of years ago. So you probably all know these cases where we have deepfake videos which are rendered completely realistically so that you don't really can tell if it's a real person or a rendered thing. So I've brought you this example here that you probably know. This was one of the first very prominent ones. This is not Morgan Freeman. It was completely deepfake rendered video, which was clearly positioned as such, so you knew that it was in fact not him. However, it was already also used to do bad things. And you know that we have fake content which has strong political implications. Like if you generate a video or photos which are completely fake during an election campaign, you may be able to even influence what the vote is going to be like. So you probably have seen this news of Trump being in whatever favorable position with other people, completely deepfake. In Germany, we have a thing where Bundeskanzler Scholz supposedly gave speeches which were totally not him, so it was kind of really clear that it wasn't him, but it is something that happens, and it happens all the time, and it happens also in cases where you don't know that it happened. So there was an example which I have not brought here. There was a fraud for a couple of millions which were transferred to a malicious bank account, and this was done because the person, the victim, was in an online conference with all people he knew, he thought, but these were all deepfake generated videos, so he was believing the CEO gave the order in this online meeting to transfer the funds, so he did. So, I mean, this is now becoming complete reality, and this is not only like somewhat disconnected to our own lives, it is also something that is very societal. It has implications on our trust and on our society as a whole. So you know that actors are misused in imagery and posts and everything in very unfavorable situations, and they are helpless against it. So if you've probably been following the Taylor Swift stuff, so it's not the best solution to ban the search keyword Taylor Swift if you want to solve the problem of fake content being attributed to this person. So what can we in fact do to prevent this? So I think lots of the discussion is currently circling around that you want to detect that it is fraud content, but then the bad thing has already happened, right? So is this really the way out? I think we have to do better. And this is my idea, or an idea that everyone in the broader community now is getting into. If we want to regain trust in our digital interactions, then we need to be more clear on attribution of where the content is coming from. And I don't know who of you has already worked with such things, but it's becoming now a mainstream thing, and I want to show you what is an example of how you can regain trust in a world which is completely full of deepfakes and something that you cannot trust anymore. So Who guesses what's on the next slide? No. What's the solution? No. I'm just teasing. So obviously, I want to make a pledge for signing content, using cryptography to find a way out how you can reliably track and know where a content piece has come from. And this is totally not new. We do this all the time in our online interactions today because we all use encrypted lines. So HTTPS, SSL encryption is something that is there. This is already a thing of getting authenticity back into the online world because ultimately you can look into a certificate and know who is on the other end of the line being insured by this certificate. And this is something that has been around for ages and it's now becoming ubiquitous. But it is something that is mainly for niche cases so far. And this is something that is terribly useful. And I've shown you here an example of an email encryption certificate, which you can get easily, and you can sign and encrypt your mails. Encrypt only if you have the other party's public key. So encrypting is not really a thing broadly, but signing content is a thing. And is this mainly for emails? So look at this picture that I've taken, obviously here at revision. Can I now just take it and apply my email signature to it? Yeah, I could email it and then it's signed and it's kind of combined to this email and it's for me, so maybe I've created it, maybe not. So is this really useful? It is not, from my point of view. So what you actually want to have is something where you can basically have signatures to any digital asset. And also this is not new, so for those of you who have been working with these kind of things, you can easily do a hash of an image and sign it with some cryptographic key. Will it be useful to the other party if he receives it? Only if you have agreed on the procedures, how to do this, what signature to use, what algorithm to use, and so on. And it is very, very complicated to do this, actually, if you do it in a one-to-one interaction. However, it would be extremely useful, at least from my point of view. So the circumstances actually demand that we sign content. It's very, very basic and very easy. So we want to sign content, which is important so that you can trace back the content. So here at the demo party, you have your release, you have your account. Is it very secure on the PartyMeister? I don't know, I don't care actually, but actually you upload your contribution and it's presumed that you are you. We have some kind of added complexity here because most of you use pseudonyms, so this is not your real name. So it's trusting that you are in fact the person behind the artifact that you released. And this is a whole different story of digital identity in that path. And we can cover that in the discussion if you like, but I want to basically boil it down to just first of signing the content. And why have I put this camera here? You will find out in a second. I'm very convinced that to counter deepfakes, signed content is becoming a major thing. And it only will be useful if it's easily accessible and can be consumed. So there's other parties around the globe who are already working on this. And I've brought you here an example. I'm not liaised to any of these initiatives yet, and not the organizations who are behind it, but we have people who think this is very important that we can have signed content easily available for everyone. And first of all, we have a content authenticity initiative. It's a consortium of media, hardware manufacturers, and software manufacturers, and also academia that have said content authenticity is very important. We want to combine our interests and have something that this is really approachable for everyone. And they have agreed to publish standards in the coalition of content provenance and authenticity. And they actually publish technical standards how you can make this happen and how it can be broadly used. And it boils down to what is here on the bottom. It's called content credentials. And I've brought an image here, and we will look into real examples in a bit, where you basically have the possibility to attach certain data to a picture with signed content. So this means when you first create a picture, it ideally is already signed. So it never leaves your realm without being attributed with a cryptographic signature. And this is really something that works. The whole process is you start with creating the content with a camera that supports it. You edit the content then in your tool of choice, which obviously also has to support this standard. Many of you probably work with Adobe products. They are one of the drivers behind this whole stuff. So if you edit an image with an Adobe product, it is already capable of adding signatures to it. And this is the important part. It's not just having the origins of an image and it's signed once, but you want to have the trail, the provenance, when you edit it, what has been edited and what has been done to the picture so that you can be sure it's still boiling down to a certain original. We will look at examples. Then you publish it, and you can basically publish it anywhere. Important is that the integrity of the file is not compromised, because then you will lose the signatures. And then, and I think this is the most important point, if someone views it, you want to make this data on demand available to the person who looks at it. So if you look at a picture, you just want to consume the picture at first. But if you question its origin and its truthfulness, then you want to probably know more. And this is, from my point of view, important everywhere, but obviously this is most important where it's very critical. So, for example, if you report from a war zone, if you're reporting from a demonstration where there are 10,000 people or 100,000 people participating in the demonstration and stuff like that. But it can be an ubiquitous thing that is very useful for everything. And let's look at a few examples here. This is not theory, this is already out there. And you can, in fact, if you go to contentcredentials.org and have a picture that has already such data attached to it, you can look at it. And this is an example from this Leica camera I showed. This is the original image. And you see it was taken on October 2nd, 2023. And it was signed by this Leica camera. So you can trust that this picture came from this specific Leica camera. Why can you trust? Because it has an embedded secure element with a private cryptographic key that is protected and cannot be extracted, at least not easily. And with every shot you take, when you have it enabled, it will be signed with such data. And it will be attached to the image. And if you process it further, like here, in this black and white, you see that this was modified by an Adobe product with Photoshop. And it says even what was done. It was changing the color and the lighting of the picture, and what types of procedure was applied to the picture. Obviously, this only works if you have products that support this. And this is an ecosystem that is provided by these parties because they think it will be a differentiator if you have the possibility to publish trustful artifacts. So this can also work with combined images, like here. This is just a single image. It was created in Adobe Firefly, but you could also have a provenance of a completely combined picture that in fact was collated of different pictures and put together, and it will be added to the data trail of these pictures. And this is called the data manifest. So every single step that is done will be logged in this data manifest. The question is obviously, where is this then ultimately stored? It can be very long, so it can be in fact attached to the image, which makes it more, even more heavy in the data. And it can be stored online, which is currently what Adobe is providing, so that you have like an online data manifest, which is live queryable via this toolset. So I think this is a neat way of doing this. And obviously, this is something that has not come broadly applied in the public. And it is also not covering all the problem spaces that we want to solve, because this is mainly the tools signing the content. Identity can be part of it, but it's not like a very trustworthy, hardened digital identity of you as a creator who has used the device or used the software product. It's more like the account which was used in the product suite, and there's no verified identity. So if you would like do a verification process of your identity, that could be baked into it. But this is, I think, one of the next steps for improvement, that you can in fact have a very reliable, trusted digital identity of yourself if you want to attach to this image, and you can in fact know this was created by this device and by this person using the device. Yeah, so this is something I think that is extremely interesting. Going back to the cameras, this is the first camera that supports it. It's a very pricey Leica camera. It's really cool probably, but there's other manufacturers like Nikon and Canon who are also getting into this game or are already there. They have announced they will launch product as well. So this is not a single thing. This is an industry initiative trying to make this work. And if we look, if this can be broadly adopted, I think there is lots of momentum, lots of interest, the right time to do actually things like that. And it obviously works best if you work in this coalition with a standard and apply this standard to the tool set so that everyone is doing the same stuff. And how it works is, if you have an image URL and the data manifest is intact, you can just drop, as I've showed in the browser, drop the image URL into the verifier, and it will show the data if it's there. And it will verify cryptographically that it was not tampered with, that the manifest is intact and everything is fine. And these are some recent blog posts. I think this is a very good point in time to make stuff like that ubiquitous and available for everyone and easily approachable for everyone. So BBC has already announced they will use this technology in their websites, in their online publishing, and so on, and others will follow suit. You can look up who all is participating in that. I think they're gaining, rightfully so, tremendous momentum with the stuff, and I think this is something that can help us to get trustworthiness back into the online world. And I want to reiterate that signatures can be applied to anything digital, right? So this is not just for images. This can be applied to videos. This can be applied to audio content. This can be applied to documents. In fact, it is already applied in some areas very, very heavily and very high volume. And this is a means of getting trustworthiness back into online interactions and into our online lives. And I think with the state where we arrived in, with AI capabilities growing exponentially or even faster, having a provenance and attribution to the original source of a digital artifact will become a necessity, and we will at some point not really know how we could have lived without it. And I know that signed content is something that is sometimes also controversially discussed, but if we want to get into back into a world where we can rely on certain things, then cryptographically assigning signatures to stuff will be needed. Obviously, we can debate around what types of cryptographic procedures have to be applied, what will happen if we have quantum computers being able to basically dissolve all the crypto that we have applied today, and all these kind of things. But I think this is a good start of doing this and having at least some kind of a starting point where we get this into the hands of many people and making it useful to people, because cryptographic procedures used to be something that's for nerds or for Web3 enthusiasts or whatever, but I think this is something that will be helpful for the online interaction. And this is basically my statement. I already thank you for your attention, but I have something more, because obviously eat your own dog food, right? So I have used this document and signed it digitally. How did I do that? Is it something that is something that you can do yourself? Yes, you could, because in most jurisdictions you have the possibility to obtain signature certificates that you can apply to documents. And I have simply created a PDF document out of the PowerPoint presentation, and I applied a digital signature to it. Who of you has done something like that already? Okay. What type of signatures did you use? Did you use some official, qualified electronic signature? Okay, good. So this is an example of a qualified electronic signature which is regulated under EU law, and anyone can obtain it. It sometimes is costly depending on the state where you're in, but you can in fact obtain a certificate which validates that you are you before you get it, and then you can use it to sign your data. And I've done this with a PDF, and you can, and this is the beauty of it, you can verify it immediately if you open it in the Adobe Reader, because it will tell you this document is signed and the signatures are valid. So it has in fact a means of looking back and identifying if the certificate was valid at this point in time, and it does that. So there is already a tool that's out there in the world that makes it easily approachable for everyone, and it is basically baked into the product. I think this is the only way where we can make these kind of things approachable to the everyday user, because if it's just too complicated to handle, it will not be useful, because people just will ignore it. It will be something for forensics and not for everyone. So you can look at all the details, and it's like a process, I think, that should be available to everyone, and it should be easily applicable. And just from what we are seeing today in the world, there is a new regulation coming up. It's the EID regulation for Europe. It's currently reworked, and it says that these kind of digital signatures should be available for every citizen free of charge in a wallet. So you can basically get your documents and sign them with your digital signature, and you as a citizen are eligible to have that. So this is a couple of years down the line probably, but at least the understanding also on regulation level is there that this will be useful for people. And I think that's a good start, at least, to make it happen. So, and this is basically it. I have also, and we can look at it later, I have the presentation is already published, so you can download it, and you can look at the signature yourself if you want. And so I wanted to give you like a primer on the importance of signed content, and give you an insight what is already happening, what is already there. So you're familiar with these kind of products probably, so you can do it. There's also open source libraries available if you want to have this content verification into your own products or your own websites. So you can basically do this kind of integration that you can seamlessly even show this kind of data manifest. And I think this is a good start of regaining trust in a world that is at this point not so trustable in the online anymore. And thank you for being here. Thank you for being here at this hour, and thanks for the attention. And I'm looking forward to have a more interactive discussion if you want. We can obviously dive into all the different types of aspects of cryptographic procedures being available for how long and what is coming next and so on. And I'm really eager to pursue this matter and looking forward to your questions. Thank you.
Well, take a picture of a rabbit, obviously it doesn't really matter, right? So there's still the problem there that if you want to allow non-signed content, you still need to have a strategy to find deepfakes, right? So I was actually imagining that there would be an arms race between AIs, basically AIs detecting deepfakes and AIs creating deepfakes. But is that anything to say about that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that we will have to do both, right? So fake content requires also being detected, exposed. So I think this is needed. I'm just saying that we will probably not solve the problem only with that. So I'm saying if we have a means of tracking the provenance of digital artifacts, it will be much better because then we have a reasonable reliability where the data is coming from. The problem is obviously what you said. If you want to post anonymously, then yeah, if you want to apply your own signatures to it, that's a difficulty. So attributing yourself to the signed content. If you don't want to do that, you can't just have the trusted hardware sign the content. So I think this is a very interesting topic, and I've been thinking about that for quite a while. If you want to capture reality as trustworthy as you can, you will not just take the picture. You will take other data items that are available to you at this point in time. You may want to use a trusted time. You may want to have GPS signals. You may want to have atmospheric conditions at this point in time. So if you really want to have a trustworthy capturing of the world, you need a trusted sensor, if it's a camera or whatever it is. So you will, in fact, need other data to assess if the situation that you're in is in fact the real situation. You could also hold the picture in front of the camera and just photograph it, and the camera needs to somehow detect that it's currently fooled. So if this is not happening, then obviously it's useless. But I think the only way of doing this is working with such tools. And then you can basically post the picture and say, okay, it came from this camera, it was under these conditions, and you're out of the game. Yeah, so it's just the hardware and software product doing the signatures. So who of you has heard about this stuff before? I mean, particularly the image signatures. Okay, have you used it already? Someone used it? Yeah, okay. With the Adobe software or with okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm just using this as an example because I'm exposed to this community who is working on the standards, and it's kind of really interesting to see how such things gain momentum if the attack vector is getting higher, right? So we have the problem that if you look at a video, you don't really know what's going on anymore. And I think this is now a perfect moment in time to do stuff like that and experiment with it and gain experience. I think there's another question.
Testing. Like this? Okay. My question would be, arguably the people who are the most affected by misinformation on the internet and fake images and this sort of thing, these people don't really have a lot of media literacy. They don't know how. So some of us can look at these things and go, oh, this is obviously nonsense because of there are tells. And I feel like the people who are most vulnerable to this would really struggle to make useful use for these chains of authentication, because you would have to have the technical know-how. And again, at some point, these signatures they're signed by some trusted authority. So you could just say, well, I don't trust the CA authority or whatever. So this sounds a lot like a purely technical solution, but it surely you can't just have a technical solution. You also have to somehow improve education, media literacy, this sort of stuff.
I couldn't agree more. This is also something that I've been preaching almost for ages. So I think the digital literacy is the key part. Like people have dived into a digital world without ever questioning what they're doing. Most of the people who consider themselves tech savvy are good users at best. And I think this kind of questioning where data is coming from, where data is collected, what it is in relation to myself, and understanding at least basic principles of the whole stuff in what we're living in, I think this is very important. So I'm all for digital literacy and early on in life to absorb this digital literacy. And this is not working well at this point. So this is the thing why they are trying to make this as easily possible and digestible as you can. So we can look at one website. So it basically is supposed to be as easy like that. You see a picture which has this overlay content credentials, and then you can click on it and you will get this data manifest, or you will see this. And I mean, this is already technical stuff, right? But if you see something like that and you're on a website that you trust and you see a picture like that has it, then maybe this is already giving you a little bit of trust, but you can do the forensics yourself and dive into the data if you want. Yeah. But I'm totally with you. I think we need means of making this easily accessible to people and getting this trustworthiness baked in.
I like to add to your answer. The media outlets have to regain trust by using authenticated content, so that if you are not a tech head, you know which source you can trust. Now the media houses are, that's a new task for them to prove that they have the right content.
Yeah, thank you, absolutely agreed. So I think the media has a trustworthiness problem at this point because of all these things. They have a problem themselves because they have to do the forensics themselves to understand, is this really an image that is trustworthy or not? So they have a high interest in having reliable content that is brought to them. And also the media outlets, and this is a very interesting topic itself. So looking at a video that is stamped with the logo CNN, you cannot really rely that CNN. So the media is now working on having like trusted logos that you really can't forge. So where is it boiling down to? So they will have to sign their content, right? Otherwise it's useless again. So there's an initiative and a standards body coming up that basically wants to standardize the media logos so that you can really rely that's a CNN or Al Jazeera or whatever. And this is always boiling down to the same stuff. So you need to verify where the stuff is coming from. And one more comment. Actually, I mean, you also have to trust this website, right? Content credentials verified. It's provided to you as a service. So can you trust it? I mean, if you're a hardcore IT security guy, you will say never. You want trust. You want to verify your signatures yourself. You want to look into the code. You want to look, and this is open source code available, by the way, for doing the verification, obviously. So you can look at it. You can run your own service. You can do it. You can go to the max and do everything to really get to the core of it. But is this for everyday people, for everyday use? No. It's a start of doing that, and for those who are savvy to do the needful stuff to really get to the core.
I just considered a following dilemma about the private journalism and just personal investigation about anything. So, if a person, let's say, were to capture some very controversial act of some politician, which could be very dangerous for his own personal safety. So if he's gonna authenticate that it was him, he's gonna give out information of who it was, it's gonna jeopardize his safety. Whereas if he will be staying anonymous, all the information will be thrown away as false and absolutely faked. So it's not exactly gonna be a safety measurement for something which could be very, very strong by information.
Yeah, I don't have the silver bullet solution to that. I mean, you're totally right, and I think we're revisiting the discussion that you brought up. So, do you want to be attributed to the picture? Sometimes you probably don't want to be attributed to it, but you cannot completely decouple it from the artifact, from the product. Like, so if just the camera signs it, it may still be tracked back to you, that you get the camera and the crypto is basically traced back to yourself. Is there a way out? I think probably not. I think there is only if you publish content that is not signed, you probably need to go to extra length to see if it's trustworthy. I think this is for everyday use. It's easier than for these edge cases for investigative journalists, where you basically don't want to have anything to do with signatures because it can be tracked back to you. But then the authenticity check needs to be done by other people, right? So, and it's just so much more effort. But if you are basically okay with being a reporter at a war zone and taking pictures, and then it's something that obviously helps you to don't have to go to that length to verify these pictures. I don't have the silver bullet solution. I know of all the issues with the attribution to people and the dangers to it, but yeah.
Propose it as a case study of what could be used as an excuse of how to, by those who would find it very bad for themselves, of using that as a justification of trying to stop the movement of using the signature use. Exactly because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can obviously think of things like one-time signatures. So like you have if you have just this camera, it just uses every private key once, and it's kind of rotating or whatever. Still, the problem is if you know who the camera, in whose hands the camera was at that point in time, it's an issue. But you can think of more advanced ways with cryptographic signature and constant rotation that may solve it. But in the end, it's just a matter of how much transparency do you really want to give.
Well, the solution to a photograph taken in a very controversial situation would be that the media outlet can authenticate that the content is made by the photographer, and then sign it itself as a media outlet to cloak the original photo taker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
So
totally,
it would go back again to we have to trust media outlets.
Exactly. So the persons consuming the content on the media outlet have to trust the media outlet, and you as an investigative journalist have to trust the media outlet that they will not disclose your identity, right? So because they know them. But yeah, I mean, it's always the chain, and you have to understand where you want to break it or not. Thanks for the great question. It's pretty cool. Right, anything else? All right, thank you for being here. I will just display the URL of the presentation if you're interested, and thanks again for being here at this hour. Thanks for the contributions, and hope you enjoy the rest of the party, and see you soon.